Democratic primary contender Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, news broke that she had an aide that resigned over the way her staff was dealing with an accusation of sexual harassment and mistreatment by a more senior aide. Apparently, they didn't really do anything about it, so she resigned. And apparently, the man was only eventually fired last month when a media outlet contacted the campaign. What was your reaction to that news?
So this is on the scale of bad to not so bad. It's kind of, I would say, in the middle. Obviously, Kirsten Gillibrand is not directly implicated in the sexual harassment, but the fact that she didn't fire the staffer should raise some red flags, especially because I believe her candidacy is, she's running on a metoo platform, right? So she's one of the senators and public figures in the Democratic Party who has been strongest against allowing Al Franken to have any sort of public resurgence. She voted against every Trump nominee. She's been kind of the Me Too candidate. That's really, I think, what her angle is. So this obviously puts a dent in that. And I find it funny that this is not really much of what the media is focusing on when they were obsessed with the Bernie Sanders story that didn't directly implicate him either. I think that it's a slippery slope when you start blaming the bosses of people who committed sexual harassment, and you start to do that kind of digging, because Kamala Harris had a similar thing happen with her in her office, and I don't want to blame people by association, but it's more damning than both the Harris and Bernie Sanders accusations because this staffer was not adequately dealt with. And Hillary Clinton had a similar thing, by the way, in 2016, where there was a very credible and proven accusation of sexual harassment, and they just shuffled the staff around.
I know that's what's so bizarre, especially for Kirsten Gillibrand, because I agree that she's been very strong on this particular issue. And from what the now resigned former staffer says is that she had said that this guy was both traditionally harassing and sexually harassing her. The office says that they looked into it and they found that he had been mistreating her, but there was no sexual harassment, which, I mean, it just sounds like her word was not enough in this particular case. And it is bizarre the amount of media attention that's paid to one case versus another. I will agree with you that I don't think that, unless it's shown that she personally protected him, which I've seen no evidence of that, the idea that she is personally responsible for it, I think, makes as little sense as it did with Bernie Sanders. But in the case of Bernie Sanders, they did fire the guy. They fired the guy long before the media got wind of it and was investigating it. They totally changed their practices to make sure that it didn't happen. In this case, and the case with Hillary Clinton, the guy kept working there until people made a big stink out of it. And so it is interesting the ways in which the media will focus and make a big deal out of certain cases and not others, even when they're not exactly the same situation.
Well, it's about weaponizing certain narratives, right? So we're seeing the same thing about reparations with Bernie Sanders. None of the other candidates are getting criticized for not supporting reparations, and literally zero of the presidential candidates will actually institute reparations if they become president of the United States. And the media sees sexual harassment and gender issues as a weakness for Bernie Sanders. So this is something we focused on for him. And for others, you know, Hillary and Kirsten Gillibrand are women, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. But that's obviously not how it should work. And I find it frustrating that it's super selective, and it's made to paint a picture of a certain candidate and not do so for another one. In ways that maybe are unconscious biases by the media, but they're still just as pervasive.
Thank you very much for watching this clip from The Damage Report. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and ring the bell on YouTube to get notifications of our new videos. And of course, you can catch the full Damage Report live every weekday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on TYT Network on YouTube TV.